I'm looking to see if I'm going live. It says I'm live, but I want to double check in the big window to see if I'm actually live. I'm muted so nobody can hear it. So I'm just checking to see if it went live. So I want to do an experiment because I know in StreamYard, okay, in StreamYard, you can do some of the things that you can do in OBS, but I just kind of want to do something like looking up things on Wikipedia and having like this actually, it's just this app that comes with my computer that will read text to you. And it's interesting because I know there's some websites like Speechify that are supposed to have like a special voice read it to you, but I've never really been that interested in like those apps. But what I thought was fascinating was just looking today and seeing, oh, there's an app that just will have a generic voice that reads it to you. So I thought that was interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and go into screen share, share screen. So it's interesting. It says sharing screen is easiest in 2 monitors. Like it's giving us lots of tips on how to do screen share now. Interesting and fascinating. So I'm going to go to where it says Tartary. And I'm going to have it read it to us. Not the whole thing, but just a little bit of article just to illustrate.
Tartary, Latin, Tartaria, French, Tartari, German, Tartarii, Russian, or Tatari, Russian, was a blanket term used in Western European literature and cartography for a vast part of Asia bounded by the Caspian Sea, the Ural Mountains, the Pacific Ocean, and the northern borders of China and India at a time when this region was largely unknown to European geographers. The active use of the toponym, place name, can be traced from the 13th to the 19th century. In European sources, Tartary became the most common name for Central Asia in a series of negatively colored names that had no connection with the.
Interesting.
Tartary was not a country, but rather a European name for a region poorly understood by Europeans. Ignorance surrounding Tartary's use as a place name has spawned conspiracy theories on the internet, including ideas of a hidden past and mud flood. Such theories contend, falsely, that Tartary, or Tartaria, was a lost civilization with advanced technology and culture. This ignores the well-documented history of Asia, which Tartary refers to too. Knowledge of Manchuria, Siberia, and Central Asia in Europe prior to the 18th century was limited. The entire area was known simply as Tartary, and its inhabitants Tartars. 3. In the early modern period, as understanding of the geography increased, Europeans began to subdivide Tartary into sections with prefixes denoting the name of the ruling power, or the geographical location. Thus, Siberia was Great Tartary, or Russian Tartary, the Crimean Khanate was Little Tartary, Manchuria was Chinese Tartary, and Western Central Asia, prior to becoming Russian Central Asia, was known as Independent Tartary. 3, 4, 5. By the 17th century, however, largely under the influence of Catholic missionary writings, the word Tartar came to refer to the Manchus and the lands they ruled as Tartary. 6.
Okay, let's keep going. I kind of like it reading to me. I can definitely read it, but this is just kind of fun. I thought it would be interesting to see what the speed. I mean, it's not bad. I know this is the generic one that comes with Google Chrome. Actually, it's the Edge browser, but it's not too bad. I mean, I got my laptop in 2020. It is more of a basic laptop, but I don't think you need Speechify.
European opinions of the area were often negative and reflected the legacy of the Mongol invasions that originated from this region. The term originated in the wake of the widespread devastation spread by the Mongol Empire. The adding of an extra R to Tatar was suggestive of Tartarus, a hell-like realm in Greek mythology. 3. In the 18th century, conceptions of Siberia, or Tartary, and its inhabitants as barbarous by Enlightenment-era writers tied into contemporary concepts of civilization, savagery, and racism. 7. More positive opinions were also expressed by Europeans. Some saw Tartary as a possible source of spiritual knowledge lacking in contemporary European society. In 5 Years of Theosophy, edited by theosophist and scholar G.R.S. Mead, polymath and seer Emanuel Swedenborg is quoted as having advised, seek for the lost word among the hierophants of Tartary, China, and Tibet. 8.
We're going to take it all the way to the end just to see what it says. I'm going to have it read the rest because this is very fascinating. I'm kind of having fun with this. It's interesting.
Decline, edit. The usage of Tartary declined as the region became more known to European geographers. However, the term was still used long into the 19th century. 5. Ethnographical data collected by Jesuit missionaries in China contributed to the replacement of Chinese Tartary with Manchuria in European geography by the early 18th century. 3. The voyages of Igor Meyendorff and Alexander von Humboldt into this region gave rise to the term Central Asia in the early 19th century, as well as supplementary terms such as Inner Asia. 5. And Russian expansionism led to the term Siberia being coined for the Asian half of the Russian Empire. 4. By the 20th century, Tartary as a term for Siberia and Central Asia was obsolete. Citation needed, however. It lent the title to Peter Fleming's 1936 book News from Tartary, which detailed his travels in Central Asia. Tartaria Conspiracy Theory, edit. The conspiracy theory about Great Tartaria first appeared in Russia, popularized by Nikolai Levashov, and in Anatoly Fomenko's New Chronology. In Russian pseudoscience, known for its nationalism, Tartaria is presented as the real name for Russia, which was maliciously ignored in the West. For example, the 2011 film Great Tartary Empire of the Rus, posted on YouTube. 9/10. Since about 2016, conspiracy theories about the supposed lost empire of Tartaria have gained some steam on the English-speaking part of the internet. The conspiracy is based mostly in a misunderstanding of architectural history. Adherents suppose that demolished buildings, such as the Singer Building, or the temporary grounds of the 1915 World's Fair were actually the buildings of a vast empire based in Tartary that has been suppressed from history. Sumptuously styled Gilded Age buildings are often held out as really having been built by the supposed Tartarian. The conspiracy is very light on details, and only vaguely describes how such a supposedly advanced civilization, which had reputedly achieved world peace, could have fallen and been hidden. The idea that a mud flood wiped out much of the world, and thus old buildings is common, supported only by the fact that some buildings have basements which had windows. World War I and II are cited as a way in which Tartaria was destroyed and hidden, reflecting the reality that the extensive bombing campaigns of World War II did destroy many historic buildings.
That did not happen.
The general evidence for the theory is that there are similar styles of building around the world, such as Capitol buildings with domes or star forts. However, such designs exist globally due to colonialism by empires such as Britain, Spain, and Portugal, not some lost empire such as Tartaria. The theory reflects a cultural discontent with modernism, and a supposition that traditional styles are inherently good and modern styles are bad. The conspiracy is described as similar to QAnon, and incorporates elements from other conspiracies, especially anti-Semitism. 11. See also.
I had never heard about that. Okay. Very interesting. I was just looking up something about the Tartars, and it took me to this. I don't know. I just was typing in different things, and that's where I went. I'm going to look at my blog now because that was kind of interesting. Okay, let's bring up my blog next. We'll have it read that. How about that? That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to highlight all the text on my blog, going from bottom to end. I'll just have it read everything.
July 14th, 2019. I finally made a hummus deep dish pizza. A slice of hummus deep dish pizza with onions and red bell peppers. Today I finally decided to try my hand at making hummus pizza, which is something I have wanted to taste for a long time. I adore hummus and vegan pizza, so why not bring the best of both worlds into one homemade pie? I am a self-proclaimed hummus lover, so anything chickpea and tahini related is right up my alley. The first step to making the pizza was to mix up the dough. I used Bob's Red Mill whole wheat pastry flour for the dough. The flour is so finely ground that it is quite beautiful to behold. I wanted to experiment with using pastry flour in a pizza crust since this is usually recommended for pie crust dough. The pizza dough recipe consisted of 2.5 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of oil, 2 crushed cloves of garlic, a package of Fleischmann's pizza crust yeast, a cup of water warmed in the microwave. To construct the pizza crust, I simply microwaved a cup of water for 1 minute and then poured it into the bowl. Next, I dumped the yeast in and stirred it around a bit. There is no need to wait with the pizza dough yeast, but I feel the results are better when I first dissolve the substance into warm water the way regular yeast needs to be liquefied. I find that dissolving the pizza crust yeast in warm water like traditional yeast increases its efficacy. I flattened out the dough and then spread the hummus layer on top. Rather than having to use a rolling pin or tossing the dough into a flat shape, I simply used my fingers to stretch out the dough on a glass pan. Once the dough was stretched out across the baking dish, I spread a thick layer of hummus on with a batter spatula. I sprinkled nutritional yeast over the top of the pizza crust. I sprinkled a layer of nutritional yeast over the hummus. I chopped up red bell pepper and white onion to sprinkle on top of the pizza. For my vegan pizzas, I always use whatever vegetables I have left over in the fridge, which happen to be red bell peppers and onions, so that is what I put on the pie. Here is the pizza after I took it out of the oven. I baked the pizza at 425 degrees in the oven for about 25 minutes. I love the thick deep dish slices. I ate a lot of the pizza very quickly since it turned out to be quite tasty. Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest 1, StreamYard, close. November 19th, 2021 by admin. Filksing with Leslie Fish, Mark Horning, and Ann Prather. Tonight on Aya Katz's YouTube channel, we did a live stream filksing with Leslie Fish, Mark Horning, and Ann Prather. Watch these 3 talented individuals sing folk songs with a science fiction twist, which is what filksings are all about. Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest.
Why not? Okay.
Like this. Live stream in Prather, filksing, folk songs, Leslie Fish, live stream, Ma.
Are you ready for the next one? Let me highlight everything. We're going to highlight from start to finish so it can read the whole thing to us, all right? You listening to me, everybody? Okay, I got to find a better way to highlight. start at the top. Okay. So oh no. Okay, it's being so silly.
Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest. Like this. Fashion haul, Ross, what I wore today. Leave a reply. Your email address will not be published. Required fields are marked asterisk. Comment. Name asterisk. Email asterisk. Website. Notify me of follow-up comments by email. Notify me of new posts by email. A dress in Turkish rose with a sweater that has pearl embellishments. This outfit was put together from a dress and sweater I purchased at Ross. Someone who liked this outfit said it has a modern prairie aesthetic, especially since I have been wearing my long hair in braids quite frequently. I made a short outfit of the day video showcasing this look based on a Ross shopping haul. Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest. Like this. Fashion haul, Ross, what I wore today. Leave a reply. Your email address will not be published. Required field. Month, September 2016. September 30th, 2016. Eating Guardian fishless fillets. Guardian fishless fillets are the perfect option for he vegan who misses the taste of fish, but who does not want to consume this. Guardian fish fillets are vegan and perfect for those who miss eating fish. These Guardian mock fish fillets sure taste a lot like I remember fish tasting, but I actually love the flavor of these better. Guardian is a fun option for people who are vegan, or people who just do not want to eat meat all the time. Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest. Like this. September 29th, 2016. Testing out the spoke lights on my bicycle wheels. Tonight I decided to test out the spoke lights on my bicycle wheels. Now that it is getting darker with the end of daylight savings time here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is important to remain visible when bicycling at night. Share this. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest. Like this. September 27th, 2016. The Peaks of San Gorgonio. Share this. My Instagram adventures. Share this.
Let's do another web search. Let's do the Wikipedia entry. So what we'll do is we will copy the whole thing from top to bottom. It's pretty long. Well, we're gonna read the whole thing.
Hurrem Sultan. From Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. In this Ottoman Turkish style name, the given name is Hurrem, the title is Sultan, and there is no family name. Hurrem Sultan. Portrait by Titian titled La Sultana Rosa, circa 1550. Haseki Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, imperial consort. Tenure 1533/1534, April 15th, 1558. Born Alexandra or Anastasia 1502 to 1506 Rohatyn, Ruthenia, Kingdom of Poland, now Ukraine. Died April 15th, 1558, aged 51 to 56, Topkapi Palace, Istanbul, Ottoman Empire, now Turkey. Burial Suleymani Mosque, Istanbul. Spouse Suleiman the Magnificent. Issue Said Saad Mehmed. Miraima Sultan. Said Saad Abdullah. Salim II. Said Saad Bayezid.
Saad, they don't.
Said Saad Sahanger. Names Turkish, Hurrem Sultan Ottoman Turkish. Father Lisovsky, 1. Religion Sunni Islam, previously Eastern Orthodox Christian. Hurrem Sultan, Turkish pronunciation, Hyr Sultan, Ottoman Turkish, Romanized, Hurrem Sultan, Modern Turkish, Hurrem Sultan, circa 1502, April 15th, 1558, also known as Roxolana, Ukrainian, lit. The Ruthenian one, was the chief consort and wife of the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. She became one of most powerful and influential women in Ottoman history, as well as a prominent and controversial figure during the era known as the Sultanate of Women. Born in Ruthenia, then an eastern region of the Kingdom of Poland, now Ukraine, to a Ruthenian Orthodox priest, Hurrem was captured by Crimean Tatars during a slave raid and eventually taken to Istanbul, the Ottoman capital. She entered the imperial harem, rose through the ranks, and became the favorite of Sultan Suleiman. Breaking Ottoman tradition, he married Hurrem, making her his legal wife. Sultans had previously married only foreign free noble ladies. She was the first imperial consort to receive the title Haseki Sultan. Hurrem remained in the Sultan's court for the rest of her life, having 6 children with him, including the future Sultan, Selim II. She was the grandmother of Murad III.
He was a bad boy.
Hurrem eventually achieved power, influencing the politics of the Ottoman Empire. Through her husband, she played an active role in affairs of the state. She probably acted as the Sultan's advisor, wrote diplomatic letters to King Sigismund II Augustus of Poland, R. 1548 to 1572, and patronized major public works, including the Haseki Sultan Complex and the Hurrem Sultan Bathhouse. She died in 1558 in Istanbul and was buried in a mausoleum within the Suleymani Mosque complex. Contents: 1. Names. 2. Origin. 3. Relationship with Suleiman. 4. State affairs. 4.1 Controversial figure. 4.2 Foreign policy. 5. Charities. 6. Death. 7. Personality. 8. Legacy. 9. Visual tradition. 10. Children. 11. Gallery. 12. See also. 13. Notes. 14. References. 15. Further reading. 15.1 References. 16. External links. Names, edit. Hurrem's birth name is unknown. Leslie P. Pierce has written that it may have been either Anastasia or Alexandra Lisowska, too. Among the Ottomans, she was known mainly as Haseki Hurrem Sultan or Hurrem Haseki Sultan. Hurrem or Khorram, Persian, means the cheerful one in Persian. Origin, edit. Sources indicate that Hurrem Sultan was originally from Ruthenia, which was then part of the Polish crown. 3. She was born in the town of Rohatyn, 68 kilometers, 42 miles, southeast of Lwów, Lviv, a major city of the Ruthenian voivodeship of the Crown of the Kingdom of Poland. 4. In what is now Ukraine. According to late 16th century and early 17th century sources, such as the Polish poet Samuel Twardowski, died 1661, who researched the subject in Turkey, Hurrem was seemingly born to a man surnamed Lisowski, who was an Orthodox priest of Ruthenian origin. 4, 5, 6. Her native language was Ruthenian, the precursor to modern Ukrainian. 7. During the reign of Selim I, which means sometime between the 1512 to 1520, Crimean Tatars kidnapped her during one of their Crimean, Nogai slave raids in Eastern Europe. The Tatars may have first taken her to the Crimean city of Kaffa, a major center of the Ottoman slave trade, before she was taken to Istanbul. 4, 5, 6. In Istanbul, Valide Hafsa Sultan selected Hurrem as a gift for her son, Suleiman. Hurrem later managed to become the Haseki Sultan, or favorite concubine of the Ottoman imperial harem. 3. Michaela Lituanus wrote in the 16th century that the most beloved wife of the present Turkish emperor, mother of his first son, who will govern after him, was kidnapped from our land. I-9. Sheikh Qutb al-Din al-Narwali, a Meccan religious figure, who visited Istanbul in late 1557, noted in his memoirs that Hurrem Sultan was of Ruthenian origin. She had been a servant in the household of Hansurli Fatma Sultan, daughter of Sayyid Saad Mahmud, son of Sultan Bayezid II. She was presented to Suleiman when he was still a prince. 10. European ambassadors of that period portrayed her as having red hair, green eyes, and white skin. Due to the reddish color of her hair, her name is stated to be Rosa, or Roxolana. 11. The portraits drawn in her name are completely imaginary by the painters and do not reflect reality. Yet, she is the sultan with the most portraits in her name in the Ottoman Empire. 11. Relationship with Suleiman, edit. Suleiman the Magnificent. Roxolana, called Hurrem Sultan by the Ottomans, probably entered the harem around 17 years of age. The precise year that she entered the harem is unknown, but scholars believe that she became Suleiman's concubine around the time he became sultan in 1520-12. Hurrem's unprecedented rise from harem slave to Suleiman's legal wife and queen of the Ottoman Empire attracted jealousy and disfavor not only from her rivals in the harem, but also from the general populace. 3. She soon became Suleiman's most prominent consort beside Mahidevran, also known as Gulbahar. While the exact dates for the births of her children are disputed, there is academic consensus that the births of her 5 children, Sayyid Saad Mem, Marima Sultan, Sayyid Saad Abdullah, Sultan Selim II, and Sayyid Saad Bayezid, occurred quickly over the next 4 to 5 years. 12. 130 Suleiman and Hurrem's last child, Sayyid Saad Sahanger, was born with a hunchback, but by that time Hurrem had borne enough healthy sons to secure the future of the Ottoman dynasty. 12. 131. Her joyful spirit and playful temperament earned her a new name, Hurrem, from Persian Khorram, the cheerful one. In the Istanbul harem, Hurrem became a rival to Mahidevran, and her influence over the sultan soon became legendary. Hurrem was allowed to give birth to more than one son, which was a stark violation of the old imperial harem principle, one concubine mother, one son, which was designed to prevent both the mother's influence over the sultan and the feuds of the blood brothers for the throne. 9. She was to bear the majority of Suleiman's children. Hurrem gave birth to her first son Mahmud in 1521, who died in 1543, and then to 4 more sons, destroying Mahidevran's status as the mother of the sultan's only son. 13. Suleiman's mother, Hafsa Sultan, partially suppressed the rivalry between the 2 women. 14. According to Bernardo Navajero's report, as a result of the bitter rivalry, a fight between the 2 women broke out, with Mahidevran beating Hurrem, which angered
Suleiman. You stuck? Maybe it's stuck. Okay, I think you might have to I might have to do more. See how far back now.
Süleyman, 15. According to Necdet Sakaglu, a Turkish historian, these accusations were not truthful. After the death of Süleyman's mother Hafsa Sultan in 1534, Hürrem's influence in the palace increased, and she took over the ruling of the harem. 16. Hürrem became the only partner of the ruler, and received the title of Hasiki, which means the favorite. When Süleyman freed and married her, she became the Hasiki Sultan. Adding the word Sultan to a woman's name or title indicated that she was a part of the dynasty. 17. In 1533 or 1534, the exact date is unknown, 9. Süleyman married Hürrem in a magnificent formal ceremony. Never before had a former slave been elevated to the status of the Sultan's lawful spouse, a development which astonished observers in the palace and in the city. 18. It was only possible for Hürrem to marry Süleyman after the death of Hafsa Sultan. It was not because Hafsa Sultan was firmly against this unification, but because it was not allowed for a concubine to rise above the status of the Valid Sultan, Queen Mother. 19. Hürrem also became the first consort to receive the title Hasiki Sultan. 20. This title, used for a century, reflected the great power of imperial consorts. Most of them were former slaves in the Ottoman court, elevating their status higher than Ottoman princesses and making them the equals of empresses consort in Europe. In this case, Süleyman not only broke the old custom, but began a new tradition for the future Ottoman sultans, to marry in a formal ceremony, and to give their consorts significant influence on the court, especially in matters of succession. Hürrem's salary was 2,000 aspers a day, making her one of the highest paid Hasikis. 9. After the wedding, the idea circulated that the Sultan had limited his autonomy, and was dominated and controlled by his wife. 21. Also, in Ottoman society, mothers played more influential roles in their sons' educations and in guiding their careers. 21. After the death of Süleyman's mother, Hafsa Sultan, in 1534, Hürrem became the most trusted news source of Süleyman. In one of her letters to Süleyman, she informs him about the situation of the plague in the capital. She wrote, "My dearest Sultan, if you ask about Istanbul, the city still suffers from the plague. However, it is not like the previous one. God willing, it will go away as soon as you return to the city. Our ancestors said that the plague goes away once the trees shed their leaves in autumn." 22. Statue of Roxolana, Nastia Lisovska, in Rohatyn, Ukraine. Later, Hürrem became the first woman to remain in the Sultan's court for the duration of her life. In the Ottoman imperial family tradition, a sultan's consort was to remain in the harem only until her son came of age, around 16 or 17, after which he would be sent away from the capital to govern a faraway province, and his mother would follow him. This tradition was called Sancakbeyliği. The consorts were never to return to Istanbul, unless their sons succeeded to the throne. 23. In defiance of this age-old custom, Hürrem stayed behind in the harem, even after her sons went to govern the empire's remote provinces. Moreover, remaining in Istanbul, she moved out of the harem located in the old palace, Eski Saray, and permanently moved into the Topkapi Palace after a fire destroyed the old harem. Some sources say she moved to Topkapi, not because of the fire, but as a result of her marriage to Süleyman. Either way, this was another significant break from established customs, as Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror had specifically issued a decree to the effect that no women would be allowed to reside in the same building where government affairs were conducted. 12. 131 After Hürrem resided at Topkapi, it became known as the New Palace, Saray-i Jedid. 24. She wrote many love letters to Süleyman when he was away for campaigns. In one of her letters, she wrote, "After I put my head on the ground and kiss the soil that your blessed feet step upon, my nation's son and wealth my sultan, if you ask about me, your servant who has caught fire from the zeal of missing you, I am like the one whose liver, in this case, meaning heart, has been broiled, whose chest has been ruined, whose eyes are filled with tears, who cannot distinguish any more between night and day, who has fallen into the sea of yearning, desperate, mad with your love, in a worse situation than Ferhat and Majnun. This passionate love of yours, your slave, is burning because I have been separated from you. Like a nightingale, whose sighs and cries for help do not cease, I am in such a state due to being away from you. I would pray to Allah to not afflict this pain even upon your enemies. My dearest Sultan, as it has been 1.5 months since I last heard from you, Allah knows that I have been crying night and day waiting for you to come back home. While I was crying without knowing what to do, the one and only Allah allowed me to receive good news from you. Once I heard the news, Allah knows, I came to life once more since I had died while waiting for you. 25. Under his pen name, Muhibi, Sultan Suleiman composed this poem for Hurrem Sultan. Throne of my lonely niche, my wealth, my love, my moonlight. My most sincere friend, my confidant, my very existence, my Sultan, my one and only love. The most beautiful among the beautiful. My springtime, my merry-faced love, my daytime, my sweetheart, laughing leaf. My plants, my sweet, my rose, the one only who does not distress me in this world. My Istanbul, my Karman, the earth of my Anatolia, my Badakhshan, my Baghdad, and Khorasan, my woman of the beautiful hair, my love of the slanted brow, my love of eyes full of mischief. I'll sing your praises always, I, lover of the tormented heart, Muhibi of the eyes full of tears, I am happy. 26. State Affairs, edit. Hurrem Sultan is known as the first woman in Ottoman history to concern herself with state affairs. Thanks to her intelligence, she acted as Suleiman's chief advisor on matters of state, and seems to have had an influence upon foreign policy and international politics. She frequently accompanied him as a political advisor. She imprinted her seal and watched the council meetings through a wire mesh window. With many other revolutionary movements like these, she had started an era in Ottoman Empire called the Reign of Women, too. Hurrem's influence on Suleiman was so significant that rumors circulated around the Ottoman court that the Sultan had been bewitched. 3. Her influence with Suleiman made her one of the most powerful women in Ottoman history, and in the world at that time. Even as a consort, her power was comparable with the most powerful woman of the imperial harem, who by tradition was the Sultan's mother or Valide Sultan. For this reason, she has become a controversial figure in Ottoman history, subject to allegations of plotting against and manipulating her political rivals. Controversial figure, edit. 16th century Latin oil painting of Hurrem Sultan titled Rosa Soleimani Vexer, Rosa, Suleiman's wife. Hurrem's influence in state affairs not only made her one of the most influential women, but also a controversial figure in Ottoman history, especially in her rivalry with Mahidevran and her son Said Mustafa, and the Grand Viziers Pergali Ibrahim Pasha and Kara Ahmed Pasha. Hurrem and Mahidevran had borne Suleiman 6 Saids, Ottoman princes, 4 of whom survived past the 1550s, Mehmed, Selim, Bayezid, and Sehangir. Of these, Mahidevran's son Mustafa was the eldest and preceded Hurrem's children in the order of succession. Traditionally, when a new sultan rose to power, he would order all of his brothers killed in order to ensure there was no power struggle. This practice was called Kards Katliami, literally fraternal massacring. 27. Mustafa was supported by Ibrahim Pasha, who became Suleiman's Grand Vizier in 1523. Hurrem has usually been held at least partly responsible for the intrigues in nominating a successor. 132. Although she was Suleiman's wife, she exercised no official public role. This did not, however, prevent Hurrem from wielding powerful political influence. Since the empire lacked, until the reign of Ahmed I, 1603 to 1617, any formal means of nominating a successor, successions usually involved the death of competing princes in order to avert civil unrest and rebellions. In attempting to avoid the execution of her sons, Hurrem used her influence to eliminate those who supported Mustafa's accession to the throne. 28. A skilled commander of Suleiman's army, Ibrahim eventually fell from grace after an imprudence committed during a campaign against the Persian Safavid Empire during the Ottoman Safavid War, 1532 to 55, when he awarded himself a title including the word Sultan. Another conflict occurred when Ibrahim and his former mentor, Iskender Shalebi, repeatedly clashed over military leadership and positions during the Safavid War. These incidents launched a series of events, which culminated in his execution in 1536 by Sulayman's order. It is believed that Hurrem's influence contributed to Sulayman's decision. 29. After 3 other Grand Viziers in 8 years, Sulayman selected Hurrem's son-in-law, Damat Rustam Pasha, husband of Muraima, to become the Grand Vizier. Scholars have wondered if Hurrem's alliance with Muraima Sultan and Rustam Pasha helped secure the throne for one of Hurrem's sons. 132. Many years later, towards the end of Sulayman's long reign, the rivalry between his sons became evident. Mustafa was later accused of causing unrest. During the campaign against Safavid Persia in 1553, because of fear of rebellion, Sulayman ordered the execution of Mustafa. According to a source, he was executed that very year on charges of planning to dethrone his father. His guilt for the treason of which he was accused remains neither proven nor disproven. 30. It is also rumored that Hurrem Sultan conspired against Mustafa with the help of his daughter and son-in-law Rustam Pasha. They wanted to portray Mustafa as a traitor who secretly contacted the Shah of Iran. Acting on Hurrem Sultan's orders, Rustam Pasha had engraved Mustafa's seal and sent a letter seemingly written from his mouth to Shah Tahmasp, and then sent Shah's response to Sulayman. 31. After the death of Mustafa, Mahidevran lost her status in the palace as the mother of the heir apparent and moved to Bursa. 13. She did not spend her last years in poverty, as her stepson Selim II, the new sultan after 1566, put her on a lavish salary. 30. Her rehabilitation had been possible after the death of Hurrem in 1558. 30. Sehanger, Hurrem's youngest child, allegedly died of grief a few months after the news of his half-brother's murder. 32. Although the stories about Hurrem's role in executions of Ibrahim, Mustafa, and Kara Ahmed are very popular, actually none of them are based on first-hand sources. All other depictions of Hurrem, starting with comments by 16th and 17th century Ottoman historians, as well as by European diplomats, observers, and travelers, are highly derivative and speculative in nature. Because none of these people, neither Ottomans nor foreign visitors, were permitted into the inner circle of the imperial harem, which was surrounded by multiple walls, they largely relied on the testimony of the servants or courtiers, or on the popular gossip circulating around Istanbul. Even the reports of the Venetian ambassadors, Bailey, at Sulayman's court, the most extensive and objective first-hand Western source on Hurrem to date, were often filled with the author's own interpretations of the harem rumors. Most other 16th century Western sources on Hurrem, which are considered highly authoritative today, such as Turcikai Epistolae, English, the Turkish letters, of Ogur de Busbek, the emissary of the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand I at the port between 1554 and 1562, the account of the murder of Said Saad Mustafa by Nicholas de Moffin, the historical chronicles on Turkey by Paolo Giovio, and the travel narrative by Luigi Bassano, derived from hearsay. 9. Foreign Policy, edit. Letter of Hurrem Sultan.
Okay.